Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Running Riot Digital Marketing Podcast. I am sat with Darren, and today we are going to chat through 5 SEO tools that we use, and I think that a lot of people in the industry will be aware of, and if not, you guys can have a search about them. But yeah, we're going to kind of give you an insight into what the benefits of them are. There's some cons as well to some of them. And yeah, then you guys could probably research those if you want to find out more. So I'm going to tell you the list. I'm going to start off with the list, and then we're just kind of going to dive into each one, not in any specific order because they're all kind of got different uses. So yeah, do you want to say hi, Darren?
Hi, Darren.
That's not right.
I think,
So do you want to rattle them off, and then we kind of go from there?
Because I think it's important to talk about them as if from a client's perspective as well, because
True.
sometimes we could go through the technical side of it, but we talk about tools to clients all the time. It'd be interesting to be like, this is what we use and why.
Yeah.
And if you try and use it yourself sometimes, why it's impossible. Not impossible, but sometimes it's really technically difficult and things like that fall under.
True.
So I think we're going to cover, SEMrush, which is
One of the most popular, I would say.
I think sometimes we debate how we even pronounce it.
Yeah, this SEM rush, I'm not a fan. Personally, I say.
But it used
SEMrush.
to be SEM with the big capitals. Now it's one word.
I know, but that just seems like too much effort saying SEM rush. I personally say SEMrush. No offense to anyone.
So do I. I think also we're going to cover Search Console. No, are we?
Correct. Search Console. Sorry, I'm just looking at the list. I'm going to talk quietly because Jess says I shout. SpyFu. So SEMrush, SpyFu, Screaming Frog, Search Console, and Yoast. And I actually also thought of PageSpeed Insights / Google Lighthouse. But those are our top 5. We may give you a bonus one and tell you about PageSpeed Insights, also known as Google Lighthouse. So we'll start off with SEMrush. So I mean, when you first came here, we were already using SEMrush. We've got a subscription. We'll be completely transparent. It is not a cheap piece of software. But yeah, it's kind of crucial to what we do as a company. SEO is one of our services, and it just has so many features that even we are still exploring. Darren, you're definitely the biggest researcher in the company. You love to learn, you love to grow your knowledge on those things. We actually call him AKA the pot of knowledge. So yeah, that is definitely something that you are good at. So I'm interested to see kind of what do you use SEMrush for day to day, and what are maybe some benefits of it, and maybe some pros and cons to using the software.
Yeah, I think from con-wise, I didn't realise the difference in like what you can actually do for the freer version and like the agency version until recently. We went to see a client and looking at their error reports and kind of running that audit is completely different to what we see on that level. So I didn't realise how. I think the con would be maybe the cost, but as an agency, I think it's important. Maybe for a small business who try to do stuff themselves, it's not feasible.
Yeah.
Because there's been a few people who've been like, we've taught people how to use it and stuff, and they're like, is this package right for me? And I didn't realise
how limiting it was.
Yeah, and how much it would cost them to do it through. It does help though, because we have lots of clients and stuff, and we have people we can get inquiries about stuff as well. So
true.
It's very useful just for that overall audit, as much as we do it manually, and it's kind of, we know what we're doing. I think as an overall kind of insight, it kind of runs through errors, warnings, kind of just flags up major issues that are kind of key to SEO especially. Yeah. So yeah, I think that helps.
That is a big thing. And I think we use it for potential clients as well. So not only do we use it for the technical side of it to find out errors and things that can be changed and fixed, like things like alt tags and metas, there's also the option to run through a domain that isn't set up. So yes, you are paying for that actual software, but you can then run a URL and not set them up as a project and not have all their data coming through every month. Just simply run their domain and have a look at what errors they have. So some people come to us, and it's one of our USPs actually. We do a free technical audit, and that's because we use that software to find out what is wrong with your site. Because some people are like, I heard I need SEO, but do I need SEO? And we'll be honest with them. We send that report. Yeah. Some of them really aren't that bad. So we'll list the opportunities for growth, and then we will show them, obviously, the errors. And then others come to us and we go, oh my word, you have an emergency on your hands. And you really need to fix it. So that is one of the other things we use it for.
I think that is important, but I think the other inside of that is that report can sometimes look really scary.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you don't understand the lingo, I guess.
Yeah, so you send people, and some people probably do and be like that. But some of the stuff that is flagged as errors, as just from our knowledge, I think, can be ignored. So some of that
JavaScript and CSS, people see that and they're like, the what now?
There's just elements I know that aren't important and the focus goes somewhere else. So I think it allows us to kind of see an overview, but gives us time to look and be like, this is important, this isn't, and this. So it does kind of give you but it's not gospel, because you need to still know what you're doing to navigate it.
Agreed. So I guess that's one of the reasons that it is important for an agency. And if you aren't an agency and you're a company thinking, I need SEO, I need to invest in software, it's not going to solve your problems. It's going to highlight your problems. Yeah. It's really good at saying why and how to fix. It's really like you can hover over the areas. However, again, some of them literally say, you need your web dev to fix this. They and that's one of the things we do everything in the house at Trio, because so many things are interlinked. SEO is linked to PPC, is linked to social media, is linked to your website, is linked to maintenance. There's just so many aspects of digital marketing that if you get that and think, oh, this is going to fix everything, nope. I think it's not. It's not going to do that. I think you kind of
highlighted it was one of the key features as well, but like it does a good job of explaining what the problems are.
Yeah.
But there's also that, what is the problem? And it breaks it down quite simply.
It does, it's not overly complicated lingo, is it?
And as much as I say, it's something it makes it easier for us to understand, so I'm not going to assume everyone else does.
Exactly.
But it does mean like, this is how you fix it. And if you don't know how to speak to developers, you can just copy and paste it, and hopefully they
That's
know how to
very
do it.
true. Yeah, it does do that as well.
And there's lots of elements, like in the side of that toolbar is like, there's constantly adding stuff. There's bits I don't even know what they do. Sometimes it's not relevant to certain clients.
It's very true. There's so many elements that we are still discovering. That it links to your social media. It helps you with blog writing as well. So if that's something that you want to do, I think the most important thing to take away from this is that if you want SEMrush, make sure that you've got someone who is confident using it. There are different tutorials and courses you can go on for it. I think really understand how it works, because you can land up paying for something and using 10% of it. And that's obviously not going to be beneficial to you. So I think, if you really do want to invest in it yourself, make sure you know what you're investing in and you're getting out what you're putting in, especially on a payment point of view.
Because I think in some of the free tools, or the kind of lower version, there is enough for certain people to run through. Like you can run your domain through and find certain organic keywords that you can do. It's not going to do all the work for you anyway, but it points you in the right direction.
Correct, yeah. So it does give you something.
Like even for keywords research, when you type in a keyword, it'll give you like related keywords, questions and stuff.
Yeah.
You've got to do a lot of manual work yourself and figure out what's better for yourself, but it gives you a kind of basic guide, which I think the basic version does enough.
I think there's still limitations, but it doesn't cut you off from being able to do that. And you've just highlighted another point. So along with being able to search for errors, how to fix them, being able to look at linking social media, my brain just literally froze there. Linking social media, having the opportunity to have software look at your blogs and help you with that. The biggest thing about it is keyword research.
Yeah.
And that is for keywords that you want to put on your page in general. And that's by looking at how many times it's searched per month, seeing what else someone may search, like you just said, so related keywords. So you might think, oh, people are searching this, and then it's got like 2 searches or 10 searches a month. But then a related keyword has 1,000.
Yeah.
So making sure you use that. And then blog topics, like you were saying, that's one of the most important things, isn't it?
The keyword research tool is quite useful, because when you click into the keyword you want to use, you can scrape out the top 10 links, and it kind of tells you the keyword density, which is kind of useful as well. So you're like, I know the top 10 use the keyword this many times. They have this many words. This is how their page is set up. You're like, well, sometimes we look too hard to try and be inventive. You're like, sometimes if stuff works, just find, and then use the tool to find that gap to get yourself in that market.
Exactly. I think those links are really important, what you've just said there. Finding out what are the top 10 links using that keyword and ranking for it, and how.
Google it and save it and try to download it. Just
exactly
export it and then use that data. There's loads of tools in there that you could just spend far too much time, and I think that's one of the cons. Is like, even I'm guilty. I'm
It's
like,
a
I
black
wonder what
hole.
what this does, and then you go down a loop of like, as you say, a black hole, and then something would be beneficial at the end.
Of course.
You spent like 3 hours being like, new tool.
Oh, look at this fun thing I've just discovered.
But the learning aspect of SEMrush is useful. Like I've done it when I've been traveling and stuff. I just take my laptop and log in, and because I'm interested in learning, because I know it's going to get better, and even just personally.
Darren's trying to get a team shout out. I can just feel it. We've started doing team shout outs in the office to like give people recognition, and Darren is fishing for one. On my holidays, I take my laptop and I do SEMrush research.
It's just because
it's true.
It's being able to work in an agency who can afford to buy that tool. Just gives me enough time to research it, and like I might as well take advantage of it as I'm somewhere else.
100% agree, and that's the thing. Not only do you do that, but you also then share it with us. I think that's we've touched on this in like so many of our vlogs and our podcasts, and in all the material that we that we send out, how much we learn from each other. So regardless of our job titles, if someone learns something, we're like, guys, look at this new thing, and we get really excited to learn from each other. So yeah, I agree. Having the opportunity to learn from that software and not just be like, oh, here it is, so use it for exactly this. It has so many features. If
you're paying for it, especially because we're talking about it's not cheap, like take as much advantage of that as possible.
I 100% agree with that, 100%. Cool, so that's kind of SEMrush. So, I mean, we've literally scraped the surface, and that is essentially what we're doing in this podcast. We're just discussing the top 5 tools that are out there, of which most of them we use. So it's just kind of to give you a little bit of an insight, but do your research, have a look at them, think about what you need, and make sure that the software that you are getting is going to be kind of the solution to your problem,
100%.
Rather than just getting all of it, because you don't need all of it to start with.
No, sometimes I've researched for a bit of software and you get loads of points and you're like, it does this and does actually, I don't know if I need this or not, and no one ever tells you. So that's why we're here.
And if you don't want to do it, you just hit us up. The second one we had on there was Google Search Console. So talk to me. What do you think the main benefits of using Google Search Console are?
Well, recently I feel like it's a tool I've always kind of used, but I don't think I've utilised it enough until I look more into like how people appear in search. And I've kind of that useful tool of showing the like impressions against clicks. It tells me that pages are appearing, but no one's kind of looking through that content. I'm like, why is that? So it highlights it quite quickly by just being like, this is quite prominent here, but there's no traffic coming through it. Or tell me what content is being useful, which is kind of key. You can find what Google tells you, like people search semantically for your page. So you're doing keyword research, it's already there. Like, it tells you why and how people are coming. So you're like, that is
priceless, isn't it? And it's a free tool. I think that's what's really important is Google Search Console is a part of everything. You don't need to pay for it. You just need to set it up and make sure that you put on a script. It gives you the option to link it to through Google Analytics. So it lets you link it through manually with a piece of code. So as long as it's linked up to your website and linked up to your Google Analytics, it's free data. Like use the data. I think it's one of those tools, like you were just spoken about the click-through rate. You'll see CTR often being used in our industry. And that click-through rate is calculated by looking at the number of impressions versus the number of clicks. And that is, we put that in our report every month. We say to our clients, look, this pretty much tells you how successful your meta title and your meta description are, because that is the main thing that is going to affect whether or not you are clicked when you receive your impression.
The other, I was going to say the main tool of that actually as well, just tells you what pages are indexed. It's kind of like key. You're like, this page has not got any traffic, this keyword isn't ranking. Just go there and be like, oh, there's
it's not even been indexed.
It's not.
Google doesn't know I'm alive.
I don't know. There's a tool we kind of use that I don't think is as prominent as it used to be, because I think it used to be like that force index. I think they're getting a bit smarter to that, so you can't just be like, type in your URL, search, if it's not indexed, try and tell Google. It's still useful doing, but I think you've got like a max amount you can do that before you start spamming. But they're kind of changing that layout just now as well, so it's kind of, you'll be able to see why things are indexed, what they aren't, flag up issues. It could just be like, it's not optimized for mobile, and it's there and you wouldn't notice it unless you're checking. So it is useful for saying, these are my URLs, this is the status they are, and then you know
what isn't there. And that's also just made me think of sitemaps as well, because you can see what isn't your sitemap. If you don't even know what a sitemap is, it's the hierarchy of your website that Google can see. So it's all the pages that exist, and when I say hierarchy, kind of like your main pages, and then you've got your blog posts as well, and then you may have a page fall under another page. So will show you what sitemap has been uploaded, and it will show you if pages are not on the sitemap, which they need to be.
I've kind of seen some sites and I've logged in and be like, oh, this isn't the sitemap that should be here. Or there's like 3 or 4 different things. You're like, oh, this is probably an
and it
index
says failed as well if it's not been successfully uploaded. So that's another really important tool.
There's another very tool that kind of used a bit more recently as well. Like you can change where the traffic is directed at. So your .com sometimes it automatically goes to targeted to USA, so you can change that to .uk.
You can do that's true, because a lot of we often see the acronym TLD, which stands for top level domain, and when we do a backlink report, we'll see a lot is from the USA, and then when it breaks it down to what that is, it says the top level domain is .com, and that's because it's instantly assumed that .com is America. So that's true. That's a really important feature that we obviously we know how that works, but not many people would even know where to go and to change that. So and we often say to people, use .com if you ever have an intention of going international. So if you are on .com, that's another feature you could use Search Console for. So it's free. It's got so many features. It tells if you understand the data, it's really useful.
Yeah, I think especially when you link with like your analytics and stuff, you can pull through more data, especially blog content and stuff has been key in what you're doing. You can just link loads of other stuff. It's just the more data you have,
the better, the more you can improve. This is the thing. We are struggling for data at the moment because so many people are trying to be private. And, Kate and I spoke about it in our previous podcast about, is Facebook dead? And we've been saying things like, oh, there's so many, privacy restrictions. So if someone is giving you data and they're giving you data for free, why wouldn't you be taking that to improve? And in some cases you might, we've said to people, it's not all about getting all the clicks for all those impressions. Sometimes you go, oh, I don't want to even get an impression for that. I don't even want to be appearing for that. So, we spoke about it recently where we used, we did we did a blog, and one of the things we discussed was escorts.
Oh, yeah.
And then we started appearing for that and getting impressions for it, getting clicks for it, and then getting calls for it. So you might find that there's something on your site that you might think, oh, how are people getting in contact with me about this? And you'd be able to see there that you're actually appearing for a specific search that you didn't know you were appearing for, and therefore that's leading to clicks and maybe even calls. So it's really interesting information about your website that you might not know and that you should know.
Yes.
So SpyFu is number 3. This has obviously capabilities to benefit both PPC and SEO. Let's stay on topic. Let's talk about SEO. So what are the main things that you use SpyFu for?
Keyword research is kind of key. It's quite useful for like putting in your domain and then comparing for someone else's. So as much as we use it for PPC mainly, I think that it kind of they do interchange.
Yeah, they do.
Because some of the keywords will be things you bid on regardless. So like in the SEO, it'll tell you keyword gaps. It'll kind of find suggested things. Again, it's another tool where like loads of keywords appear and you just need to know what you're looking for, because it's just using machine learning or guesses to tell you things. And they're like, this is a decent search volume. This is a gap in the market. It just gives you ideas, and then you've got to work through that data yourself. It's just, it saves you a lot of time just being like searching, but it finds the kind of the keywords you use, the kind of keywords competitors use, which is the main purpose of that tool, is to search on someone else's in your industry, and find either what they're doing right and kind of use those kind of keywords or try and find that gap and be like, oh, they use this term, but this is a related keyword with a higher search volume or similar search volume. How can I like get that in mind and take that traffic from them? So I think it's key for basically doing what it says in the tin and spying on your competitors.
That is literally, I was about to say, SpyFu is a big thing for competition. I think a lot of people, well, we see it in advertising all the time. Tesco's calling out LD's calling out Lidl, all these things are happening. So at the end of the day, if you've got access to data about your competitors, especially successful competitors, we always say to clients, reach for the stars. If you see huge companies, and you may be a small version of that, there's still opportunities for you to compete with that, because you now have the data of what they're doing right. So you would do that in sport, you would do that in anything. If you know someone's doing something and they're successful, why wouldn't you try and compete with them, because you deserve to?
One of the things I do like about it a lot is like when you're exporting the data, because you can do it straight to Google Sheets,
Yeah.
which is really good
Really
for filtering
useful.
stuff. It's like a lot of time you'll download this Excel file, put it there, import it.
Oh, it's a CSV, and then you have to open it, and
Yeah.
it opens in Pages if you're on Mac.
I think SEMrush as well. Actually, if it goes above a certain size, it gets sent to someone's email, and you're like, oh,
Love that.
for it. Or a PDF, which is sending stuff to clients is in live. So if you download loads of keywords, and then you can filter stuff out you think's not relevant.
True.
Send them like a Google Sheet live, and you can work on it together.
We love a good Google Sheet and a Google Doc, don't we?
Someone's been like, download a PDF, and you've got to tell people to get rid of keywords, and it's
and they don't have Adobe, and
So that tool has been really useful for me as well. I've been able to download. I know we're talking about SEO, but the PPC history and stuff.
Yeah.
Just literally get loads of data very quickly, and then set up filters and just kind of find your way through that information, which is
100%.
massive.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so we've been through SEMrush, we've been through SpyFu, we've been through Search Console. One of the other ones was, I'm going to remember it without looking, I'm going to do it, Screaming Frog.
Yes.
So, I mean, you use that the most. I think you were the first one to download it back in the day, in the old office.
I think someone already had like a license, but then no one really used it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's a cheap thing, so I'm like, I'm Scottish, I'm tight. I'm like, someone's getting paid for it, I'm going to use it. Like, it's
Definitely.
I don't care what it is. It's been, but I don't even think I fully understand the full capabilities. I think
no, it's also something that's got so many features.
But there's some just basic things that everyone can use. Is basically crawl for your meta titles, page descriptions. Like you can see what's missing and what isn't, and you can also just bulk download them.
Correct.
And save them for like a different day here. You can probably do it at the back end of websites, but you crawl a site, download all your like the meta descriptions, page titles for future like reference, or even just edit them in.
Or
and
competitors.
Yeah, do the same for them. Some of the stuff that I find useful as well is like sometimes there's broken links in websites, I can't find them, but I'll be able to create custom searches to find the exact place it should be, and then or find and replace keywords. We're like, we don't offer this service anymore.
True.
How am I going to find that? And I can just set up custom, be like, find this word on a page, and give me all of them, and then I can work through and do that. It just saves you so much time.
I was going to say, the thing about these tools is time saving. At the end of the day, SEO is still, as much as the whole world's going automated, and you see it in Google Ads, and you see it even in SEO, and Google's being cheeky and going, you want that meta title? I'm going to go find one in your page.
Make it up
cheers, Google. Yeah, I'm just going to wing this. But yeah, I think that there's still such a manual aspect to SEO when SEO is done right. And the way that you need to do SEO right when it comes to being manually is doing research. And that is essentially, you have to have access to data, and then you have to be able to understand the data, and then you have to be able to use that data to benefit you. So the metas are really important, I think, also because we build websites. There's a lot of companies that come to us and go, right, we're getting a new website, but like we rank really well for these pages. Well, it's important that we know what those meta titles and descriptions are. Now, you do not want to be finding that page and then going to find the meta title and description, because you are wasting a lot of time.
A lot of time.
So we've used it for that as well.
Even certain stuff that you can just see if there's multiple H1s on a page, it will just flag up stuff.
Yes, H1s,
Again, like I suppose like all these tools, it needs to be like remembered that you need to know what you're doing.
Exactly. If you don't know what H1 is or an alt tag, you're not going to be able to benefit from Screaming Frog.
I think Screaming Frog in itself is not beginner friendly at any point. I think you need to understand what you're looking for.
The user interface is
you probably could find a bit, but it's very clunky and old school, but it's
definitely
massive. You can do massive crawls. You can get as much data off a website as you possibly can.
Yeah, that is exactly it.
But you'll be able to find loads of missing stuff, flag up any main errors. But if you're doing it on like a basic level, you can find enough to be useful.
Yeah, just to help you, and see if your pages even have
time.
If you find out on one tool that you don't have meta titles, and then you're like, oh, what pages don't have meta titles? Because I know I've got 500 missing, but I don't know what pages they are. You have the opportunity to then find out what pages don't have meta titles and description. So that's also really helpful. So you've used one tool to kind of complement another tool.
Yeah, I've used
in a sense.
I think we used it recently as well for like migrating different sites that no longer have pages. So you're like, oh, this page doesn't exist, but it's something new, so we've got to get the metas and titles off that and just basically fail safe in case something goes horribly wrong. You've got like download all that data and it is somewhere.
100%. So that's a paid one, and that's not a free tool, but again, that one probably is one that really does need some understanding of how to use it.
I think you might have a basic version, but you can only crawl like a certain amount of pages.
Oh, that is true, actually. Yeah, without logging in, you can even use it.
But as always, it's going to be not enough to do the whole site. It's just going to be a teaser, so you download it and buy it.
Yeah, it's a tease is what it is. And then the final one is Yoast, and this is specific to WordPress. But we thought it'd be worth speaking about because there are a large number of WordPress sites out there. I know that we ran a test the other day, or like I don't know what to call it. Basically, we found out how many websites were built on WordPress. It was a large percentage. So yeah, I think it is an important tool to kind of discuss. And it's one that we definitely, I kind of, along with the other ones we've just been saying, use with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, especially, I think most people who have a WordPress site will probably have that or some variation of like SEO plugin.
Rank Math.
Yes, I was say Rank Math, which is kind of the newer one of that.
Yeah.
I think even I'm debatable, like, I think I'm just used to using it in the back end of a site, so then something else comes along, I'm like, I don't really want to change.
Are you good enough?
But no, it is, and there's other features within both, but
definitely.
It's basic stuff, even just the initial setup makes you do the organization schema markup.
Yeah.
So it just takes care of that. There's limitations, but we can use it for certain things. Again, I think I'm only ever using the pro version. I don't think
true.
the difference between
we do
those
pay
is,
for it. Yeah.
I think most people do, and I probably would advise it just for the features.
Yeah.
Now I can't even remember the basic features.
I'm trying to think of the basic features. I definitely do think that it gives you a rating. So it's got kind of like a traffic light. Oh, I almost said robot. If there are any South Africans listening,
But
you know what I mean.
faces.
Yeah, but it kind of does that traffic light system where it says green, orange, red. And that is probably one of the biggest aspects we always say to clients. Don't look at that and go, oh my gosh, it's red. It's definitely not optimized. The things that it's giving, I think for the lower package, if you're downloading it for free, it might show you a couple things like your meta titles and descriptions are too long in character length. It's there. It's a guideline. I think you need to be careful with how you use the recommendations. I think it's a good idea to maybe research them. We know naturally what you should and shouldn't agree with, or we kind of, there's just certain things on there that we're like, nope, we don't agree. We're not going to be doing that.
I think the biggest bane is that green, orange, and amber, well, red light.
Yeah.
Because you're like, it's hard to explain to people who don't understand. They'll be like,
it's wrong.
Yeah, they're like, but it's not green, so it's not finished. You're like, but that's not right. You try. You're like, but this like knows what it's doing. You're like, it does. It individually does it on a page by page basis.
Yeah.
So you're like, but it doesn't understand intent either. Yeah. So you're like, this is a keyword I'm trying to get. Putting in a certain amount of times, changing the logo, but it doesn't mean that you're not trying to target that keyword somewhere else. Your site structure set up, the link's the right place. It knows the kind of enough basics, so it'll be like, if it's green, but if you know your override plan for the site, you can override a lot of that stuff.
Definitely. So I think it is just one of those. All of these tools, they're there, they're available. But like anything in life, if you don't know how to use it or what your goal is of using it, why you want to use it, if you don't have like a main purpose, you're really going to struggle. So I think getting as much information as you can about them and going on courses and learning is probably your starting point before you start investing in things and then paying for things. And ultimately that's kind of why agencies provide the service. It's a complex service. It's not something you just learn overnight.
I gotta say, even yours, for example, when you read all of the recommendation lists of things that says you're doing right or you're not doing right.
Yeah.
Just look at those. There's lists about this length.
Yeah.
Look at every individual one of those. Even if you say you're doing it right, just find out what they are and then read about it. Every tiny bit of information needs to be researched, and like up to date best practice is not always there. So that's what we do. We like to read and see what every bit means. Like if you're doing it yourself, just do that. It's a good starting point for being like, this is an SEO checklist. I suppose.
This is essentially what I need. And SEMrush, they do follow these kind of companies on LinkedIn and on social media because they're providing things all the time. SEMrush have SEO checklists. They do things about keyword research. These tools want you to use them, and you can't use them without understanding them. Yeah. So, lap that up. Take the free information, because in being able to understand the platform, you will be able to actually probably get the return on the investment, but also be able to use it to your best ability and not just get it and go, I have no idea why I have this tool. I just got told I need it and I need SEO. So
I think the issues of tools don't solve everything. Even like all the Google ones and stuff, I'll use them as an example. There's like, by the time you learn how to use it, some of the data is out of date.
It's updated, hasn't it?
As well. So you're like, I keep using Google as my other examples. Like when they update their own programs, they're like,
and their own algorithms.
By the time we write a piece of information to tell you how this works,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be out of date. So just learn on the go and try and teach yourself stuff.
Yeah.
The software itself, to be upgraded constantly, is always going to, some bits behind the time, some will be ahead of it, some will change. So you just kind of need to know how the industry is, and then also what those kind of software
just being up to date with it. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that we say to people, and we say this for everything, it's not just PPC and social media and paid ads, but for SEO as well, patience. It doesn't happen instantly. You know, we say to people 3 to 6 months, sometimes 6 to 12 months for you to actually start seeing results. And the reason we say that is because your page needs to be indexed. You've updated it. Yes, you can force index it, and there's, you know, opportunities for you to do those things, but there are billions of there's probably more than that, pages out there on Google. If you want to know the answer, you can search it, and there's a page, and there's not just one page. So you've got to understand this is a giant search engine. So yeah, you're competing a lot. And if you use these tools, you'll find out just how much you're competing, see how many people are searching for those terms per month. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is be patient. Yes, there are a lot of changes and updates. Agreed. Google does algorithm updates and software updates and core web vital updates and all these things. But sometimes the best advice it gives you is don't panic. Yeah. Don't try to change everything. Give us a chance. We're doing this with the best intentions. We're doing this for a more real and realistic kind of a result for you. We want to make sure that when you search, you get exactly what you're looking for. It's trying to deliver to us exactly what we need. So yeah, be patient. Don't freak out, and just research things before you start making drastic changes, because
100%.
Otherwise you won't even know why you changed it or what you changed or what worked. Yeah,
but it's the same time as like they are tools to kind of help you guide, but it still needs at the base of it good content, good pages, good build.
100%.
It needs the basics done before this becomes relevant.
Yeah, that is true.
Because you can only get so far with like a really bad piece of content and be like, oh, how am I going to write this better? You're like,
I'll just stuff some keywords in and that ought to work.
It kind of needs to be, the intent has to be there, which kind of SEMrush and stuff does. The keywords will tell you the best way to kind of use that kind of for information or like for sales or something. So the needs and the content has to be decent, and then this can kind of help guide you. It's not going to solve all your issues unless you know what you're doing.
No, 100%. So yeah, to wrap it up, the 5 tools that we've spoken about, the 5 SEO tools, we've spoken about SEMrush, we've spoken about SpyFu, Screaming Frog, Yoast, and Google Search Console. And yeah, there are so many more. There are things like backlinking, internal linking, there, and you know, those, you can use plugins for those, you can use software for that. We were just talking about page speed insights, Google Lighthouse. There are so many things out there. So these aren't the top 5. These aren't the only 5. These are just 5 that we thought that are really relevant at the moment and that people are using. And yeah, don't take this as gospel. There's so much data out there. Google has so much data. So make sure you're doing research. And if you have any questions relating to SEO and any other services that we provide, just drop us a comment if you're on YouTube. Get a hold of us on social media. We've got contact forms on our website. Just let us know if you have any questions or your thoughts, or maybe some tools that you guys use.
That would be useful. Sometimes when I'm consuming, like especially on Twitter, I think that's a really good SEO tool as well, actually, because people just post loads of stuff.
Yeah, and it comes up on Google now.
Yeah, like I want suggestions for other tools.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like as much as we still need to learn constantly as well. So like something might be like, this is easier than the one you use. And I was like, please tell us.
We're always open to learning about new software, new tools, new data. We're always just open to learning in general. And we're always happy to give advice as well. We have a lot of experience and knowledge in this company collectively. So yeah, we love sharing that, and we love having that shared with us. So thanks for joining us. If you're on our podcasting platforms, we hope you've enjoyed listening today. And if you are on YouTube and you're watching this, or you're on social media, give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe to us if you're on YouTube, where we also put weekly vlogs, 3 and 3s, all the content. So yeah, thanks for joining this week, Darren, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.